His ex-wife brought her new husband to the party, then froze when a billionaire kissed single dad. Daniel Mercer stood at the edge of the glittering ballroom, adjusting the collar of his white shirt for the third time, wondering why he had let his coworker convince him to come tonight. He was a single father who smelled faintly of mac and cheese and children-ness shampoo, surrounded by people in tailored tuxedos and diamond earrings. He did not belong here. But he had come anyway, because somewhere deep in his chest, beneath the exhaustion and the loneliness he carried like a second skeleton, there was a man who remembered what it felt like to hope. He never expected that hope to walk through the door in a yellow gown, or that the woman who once shattered him would walk in right behind her. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that finds you when you least expect it, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this story, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every heart this reaches is a reminder that real stories matter. Daniel had been raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily alone for 3 years. His ex-wife Natasha had left him on a Tuesday morning in February when the sky was the color of ash and Lily was at school learning to spell the word family. Natasha had not been cruel about it. That was almost the hardest part. She had simply looked at him across their kitchen table and said she wanted more than what their life together could offer. 2 months later, she was photographed at a gallery opening with Marcus Hale, an investment banker whose suits cost more than Daniel's monthly rent. 6 months after that, they were engaged. Daniel learned about the wedding through a mutual friend. While he was cutting the crusts off a peanut butter sandwich for Lily, he did not fall apart the way people expected him to. He got up every morning before 6, made breakfast, braided Lily's hair badly but lovingly, dropped her at school, worked 8 hours as a structural engineer at a firm that paid him fairly but not extravagantly, picked her up, made dinner, helped with homework, read bedtime stories, and then sat alone in the quiet of a house that used to feel full. He did this every single day, not because he was extraordinary, but because Lily needed him to, and she was the most important thing he had ever been trusted with. He had been invited to tonight's charity gala through his firm, which had helped design the renovated wing of the building hosting the event. His colleague Priya had practically pushed him out the door, telling him he needed to exist somewhere outside of work and fatherhood for one single evening. So here he was, a glass of sparkling water in his hand because he was driving, watching chandelier light bounce off the foreheads of strangers. That was when he saw her. Not Natasha. Not yet. The woman in the yellow dress had entered through the main doors at the far end of the hall, and the room did not stop exactly, but Daniel's world did. She moved with a kind of quiet confidence that had nothing to do with performance and everything to do with a person who had lived through something hard and come out the other side still soft. Her blonde hair was swept up loosely, and she had the expression of someone attending a party they had not particularly wanted to attend either. Something about that made Daniel's chest loosen just slightly. He would later learn her name was Serena Voss. He would learn that she was the founder of a children's literacy nonprofit that had quietly put books into the hands of over 40,000 kids across 3 states. He would learn that she had inherited her late father's business holdings, which made her extraordinarily wealthy, though you would never know it from the way she listened when someone spoke to her, leaning slightly forward as if every word mattered. But in that moment, he knew none of this. He only knew that she had walked to the drinks table near him, reached past him for a glass of water, and then turned and said, with a small and genuine smile, that it was reassuring to see someone else who was clearly also not drinking tonight. He laughed. Actually laughed, the real kind, not the social kind. And she did too. They talked for 20 minutes about nothing particularly important. The architecture of the building, the questionable shrimp appetizers, the strange specific exhaustion of attending events where everyone is pretending to be comfortable. Daniel mentioned Lily once, almost as an apology, the way single fathers often do when meeting someone new, bracing for the conversation to cool. Instead, Serena's entire face changed into something warmer. She asked Lily's age, asked what she liked, listened genuinely when Daniel said his daughter was obsessed with dinosaurs and had recently informed him that the Brachiosaurus was, and she had quoted, "objectively the most underrated." It was in the middle of this conversation, while Daniel was still holding his water glass and feeling more like himself than he had in years, that Natasha walked in. She appeared at the entrance with Marcus beside her, his hand at the small of her back, both of them dressed impeccably, already scanning the room with the ease of people who always assumed they would belong wherever they arrived. And then Natasha's eyes found Daniel. He saw the precise moment she registered him standing close to a woman in a yellow gown who was laughing at something he had said, standing taller than Natasha remembered him, looking somehow like a man who had built himself back from nothing and was not ashamed of it. And then Serena did something that Daniel had not expected and would not forget for the rest of his life. She had seen his expression shift almost imperceptibly. She had noticed the way his shoulders had tightened for just 1 second, and with the grace of someone who understood what it meant to hold your dignity in a room that once swallowed you whole, she leaned forward gently and pressed her lips to his cheek. Not performative, not staged, just warm and unhurried, a quiet declaration that this man beside her was someone worth standing next to. Natasha froze. The room did not notice. The chandeliers kept burning, the string quartet kept playing. But in that small stretch of ballroom between who Daniel used to be and who he was becoming, something enormous and invisible shifted. Marcus said something to Natasha and she turned back to him, recovering quickly the way people do. But Daniel had seen it. That single frozen second where his ex-wife saw him not as the man she had left behind, but as the man she had left. He turned back to Serena. She was not smiling triumphantly. She was just looking at him steadily, honestly, as if to ask whether he was all right. He told her he was, and for the first time in 3 years, he actually meant it. They exchanged numbers before the night ended. Serena asked if she could meet Lily someday, if that would be okay. Daniel said yes, and his voice was steady when he said it. He drove home through quiet streets, and when he checked on Lily asleep in her bed, her dinosaur nightlight casting small green shadows on the wall, he stood in the doorway a moment longer than usual. He thought about how love does not always arrive when you are ready. Sometimes it arrives when you are standing at the edge of a room in a shirt you've adjusted 3 times, holding a glass of water, just brave enough to still be there. If this story moves something in your heart tonight, please leave a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because stories like this one deserve to be told, and people like Daniel deserve to be seen. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever had a moment where life surprised you just when you needed it most? We read every single one. Sometimes the most extraordinary thing a person can do is simply refuse to stop showing up for their child, for themselves, and one quiet evening for the possibility that everything is still ahead of them.